Oi, oi. Welcome to episode number 1 of On Your Mind podcast. I'm Harley, and I'm just going to tell you right now that I have no idea what I'm doing. I have zero plans for this podcast. I had some inspiration the other night because in the morning after this night, I was supposed to be taking my friend to the airport. And I mean, I didn't have to get up super early in the morning, but I'm not used to getting up early in the morning. And it's always those nights where you need to get up in the morning where your mind just doesn't want to shut up and it just doesn't want to let you go to sleep. So I was sort of just listening to my mind, and the amount of like odd, weird things that I was coming up with, I just thought I could probably just sit and make a podcast just rattling off all the things that go through my mind. So that's led us here to this point where I've started the podcast, and yeah, let's just see how we get on, really. So I guess I should probably do some sort of like introduction. Although I just did that. I did just pretty much sum up what this podcast is going to be about. So I think we're good on that part. The mind is a funny thing. The mind is an odd thing, for sure. The way it works itself out, it just sort of does its own thing. I've stepped into a role of spirituality recently, so I apologise if this podcast does get a bit like spiritual at times, but that's just sort of who I am really at this moment. But yeah, what part of like the spiritual practices that I'm doing is just watching the mind and observing it and excuse me, and realizing that you're not your mind at the end of the day. It's just something that you inhabit. And I mean, if you think about the amount of times that you think to yourself about something and you just think like, what the fuck is that? What even is that thought? Like, how did I get to that thought? It happens. It can happen so quickly. Like, you'd be thinking about something, I don't know, like, oh, I need to do this today, and I need to make sure that I finish this. This is important for my job and my work. And then all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, I wonder how a hippo thinks about the things that he's doing. You know, do animals think the same way as us? I often think that. Like dogs these days, dogs have got such personalities. I feel like they've got more personality than a lot of different animals. My the dogs that I've got, well, not me per se, but the dogs that my family have got, well, they live at my mum's house. We've got 2 dogs at the moment. We've got Bovy, he's my boy, I love him, and we've got Gigi, who is a little, how do I say this politely? Well, she's a little bitch, basically. She's proper little attention seeker. She's one of these dogs where if you start stroking her and you stop, she will like grab your hands with her claws and try and force you to carry on stroking her. And she's proper forceful with it. And it's so weird because she doesn't like, when you stroke her, or when you stroke a normal dog, let's say a normal dog, like an everyday dog, when you stroke it, you can tell that they're happy about it. They're like, you know, they're smiling, they're wagging their tails and whatnot. But with Gigi, she just doesn't show any emotion ever. She has the same facial expressions all the time. She doesn't. My other dogs, they literally smile when they're happy. You can tell when they're happy because they're grinning their teeth and they're you know, showing their teeth and grinning. But Gigi, she doesn't have any change of expression. It's like, but you can tell that she likes it because she lets you know that she wants more. God, can you just imagine if dogs could talk right now? Like, that would be an insane world. Dogs talking. I don't think they'd ask for much. I think they're quite happy to be domesticated by humans. I feel like if you gave a dog an option between having a roof over his head, being loved and petted and being fed, over like fending for itself in the wild, I think if you literally gave a dog free will and free, like an option to choose either or, I think they'll end up choosing to stay with us. I think it may be different for like wolves, which are like proper wolves, like wild wolves. But you know, like you see stray dogs, are they happier outside, or would they rather you take them in? Yeah, these are the things that I guess. Well, I hope that human evolution does find a way to evolve dogs with us. I don't know if that makes sense. It makes sense in my head. I want us to try and find a way to help dogs evolve so that they can communicate with us better. I mean, they are doing that actually now. I've seen loads of videos of dogs that have got buttons that say different things, and their owners train them to sort of literally communicate with them through the use of these buttons, which is quite a cool concept, really. But they're doing it with loads of different animals now. I literally saw a monkey scrolling through Instagram, and he wasn't like scrolling like he didn't know what he was doing. He was gandering, and he was looking at all the posts. He was looking at other monkey posts on Instagram. He was looking at them, and he was like, you could see him putting the phone close to his face and like scrolling through, and he was like clicking on the videos and watching them for a little bit, and then like going off of them and scrolling down to another one, and you could see he was proper in tune with it, interested with it. And it makes me think, like, how long before we have to stop calling them monkeys and we call them like lesser human beings? Well, maybe not lesser, but pre-evolved human beings. It can't be that long, because the theory of evolution is that we came from apes and monkeys and all that. So at what point does it become not a monkey and it becomes a human? I feel like when they start verbally communicating with us, I think that's the point that we stop calling them monkeys and we call them humans. Although, but if dogs evolved and they could verbally communicate with us through like language and speech and whatnot, would we have to call them humans as well? Is everything just evolving to become a human? Parrots can talk, can't they? Parrots can communicate. I saw lots of videos of parrots, and it's a smart parrot, it's one of those African grey parrots, which, little side point, I always wanted a parrot when I was a kid. I had budgies, but they're not really the same thing, and they, bless their hearts, they died quite soon. That wasn't my fault. To be fair, one of them lived for 3 years, I think, 4 years, which I think is about right for a budgie. I don't think they really lived much more than that. But I did try to sort of ham-rear him and get him to like respond to me and fly to me. But I was only young at this point, and it was more for like I just wanted to look at this bird. That was a cool bird. He's called Sky. I bet you can't guess which colour he was. But a couple of years later, I had another budgie. He was called Turnip, and he was also blue, same as the first one. And I did do a lot better with like training him and hand rearing him, and he was quite happy to sit on my hands and sit on my shoulder and fly around and land on me and shit like that. He seemed quite happy to do that, and there was a good bond between us. You know, we had a good special bond. But about 6 months after I got him, and I got him as a small baby, like a small budgie, a baby budgie. About 6 months after I bought him, unfortunately, he passed. It's a complete mystery as to why. He was his cage was in our dining room, so he was there like whenever we'd have dinner and stuff. And our family, we like to have dinner as a family. And one day we came down for dinner, sat around the table and sort of eating, and was like, seems a bit like off in it. It seems a bit quiet. And I looked over to the cage, and there was no budgie in there. I said to my family, I said, "Where the hell is Turnip? Where's he gone? Like, he's not flying around somewhere, is he?" And my sister jokingly like shouted out like, "Oh no, he's probably dead." And I was like, "What? Where the fuck is this budgie?" And I looked up stood up and looked in the cage, and he was just at the bottom of the cage, his little feet in the air. Oh, it was proper sad. He was fully dead. Poor bastard. But yeah, literally, I mean, I was fed him well. I treated him well. You know, like I said, we had a good bond. You know, I wasn't like mistreating him, and then he just popped his socks. 6 months. I know, it's absolute tragedy. But yeah, going back to the point of what was I talking about? Parrots. I was talking about parrots. Yes, there's video of an African grey parrot, and the owner is showing up the like colours and saying, "What colour is this?" And he's going, "Orange." Like that, and it's an orange board, and he's saying, "What colour is this?" And it's green, and he goes, "Green," and it's like, does he actually know, or has he just sort of memorised them? Although that is pretty much how we talk, isn't it? Just memorising sounds and describing what we're seeing. That's a trippy concept. I've never really thought too deeply about language, but I would really like to learn another language. I only speak one language, which is English, and I don't speak that very well, as you'll probably come to know listening to this podcast. But I was looking at other sort of easier languages to learn for people who only speak English, and one of the ones that I saw was Indonesian. And the reason why it's easier not easier, but it's easier than some of the other languages to learn for people who speak English is because how everything is spelt is how it's like said, is how it's pronounced. There's a type of word for it, but I'd be fucked if I know what the word is. I heard it the other day and I can't remember what it was. No, I can't remember, but it's said how it's written down. And I've learnt one phrase, which is hello, which obviously hello, and it is senang bertemu dengan Anda, which means nice to meet you in Indonesian. And if there's anyone who is listening who speaks Indonesian, I'm very sorry for my pronunciations, and I probably got that wrong, but you know, it's a start, and it's fun to like learn another language. I didn't really pay much attention when I was learning French. It makes me think actually, what was I doing for all those years? Because in the UK they teach French from, I think it's year 4. So like the end of, or maybe year 5. So where I went to school in the UK, we did first school, middle school, high school. First school years foundation or like reception down up to year 4, and then middle school year 5 to year 8, and then high school year 9 to year 11 or year 13 if you want to do sixth form there. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I started learning French in year 5. So when I went to middle school, and it was compulsory pretty much the entire way through until year 9, I think, or year 10, because we used to pick out options in year 9 where we could actually choose what subjects we wanted to learn about going forward for the next 2 years, so the last 2 years of school, year 10 and year 11. And I didn't pick a language because I didn't really like French. I don't know why, I just didn't get on with it. But all those years, so that's like 4 years, 5 years, 4 or 5 years. I don't know, maths isn't my strong subject either. But for like 4 or 5 years of learning French, and it wasn't like one lesson a week. It was like maybe 2 or 3 lessons a week that I used to do French. And my French is horrendous. I know what fromage is. That's cheese. And I know that because I don't eat cheese. And when I went to France, I ordered a burger and tried to tell the person that I didn't want any cheese, and she didn't understand me. So I learnt that fromage was cheese. I said, no fromage, no fromage. And she understood me quite well then. Which is surprising, seeing as I was in France speaking French. But yeah, like languages, I don't know, it never interested me that much. But now that I'm older and I see like I go out to work and I go see a lot more of the world and I hear a lot more and I'm more observant of the things going around, like going on around me. And I hear so many different people speaking so many different languages. And it's like, I'd love to just know what you're saying, you know. I think most of it is me just want to be nosy and listening to people's conversations, even when they don't want some little white English boy listening to them. And I think it would be cool to just surprise someone and just be like, and just start speaking another language. And I think Indonesian is a cool language because it's very widely spoken. It's a very well known spoken language, and it's not something that people looking at me, they wouldn't expect me, like someone like me, to know Indonesian. And I think it would really baffle them and surprise them. So yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with it and try and learn a few more phrases. I saw a guy on YouTube. I think his name is Shauma. Shauma. He's quite popular, to be fair. You've probably seen him on. He's got loads of videos on Facebook and shit. But he speaks loads of different languages, like quite a lot of Asian languages, like Mandarin. I can't remember the other ones, but you have to watch him and check him out. But the look on the people's faces, he goes around like Chinatown and stuff I don't know if it's in New York. I don't actually know where he films them, but he goes around and he's an American white man, and he surprises all these people with this like amazingly fluent Mandarin, and they're like, "What the hell? Like, how did you know that?" And I'd just love to see people's faces if I just start busting out some Indonesian. I think, I think it would really surprise them, and it would surprise me as well to be able to learn another language. It's always baffled me how people think in two different languages. Like, I used to work with a Polish woman called Aga. Hold tight, Aga. If you're watching this, Aga, I love you. You're the best. But it amazes me that people can switch between them so quickly. Boom, 1 minute Polish, 1 minute English, and it's like it makes me wonder when you're thinking in another language or when you're speaking in another language. Sorry, are you thinking in that language or are you thinking about that language in your own language and then speaking it in a different language? That baffles me. If anyone's got any answers for that, please let me know. Do you know what? I feel like this is probably a good time to plug the socials. So I have made an Instagram for this podcast. It's called @onyourmindpoddy. Poddy spelled PODDY, and then the rest of it just on your mind, one word. So if you want to get in contact with me and send me a message saying whatever, you know, I'll read them. If you've got any questions for me, if you've got just anything, you know, even if you just want to have a little chat, you know, I'm open to it. So send us some stuff on there. Follow me on there as well. If you're listening to this on Spotify, I do also have a YouTube. Hello, YouTube. I'm waving at the camera right now. So if you're watching on YouTube, hello as well. Pretty much everything is just going to be on Your Mind podcast. And I'm a little bit disappointed because I came up with the name of this all by myself. I know. I'm very proud of it. And before I went ahead and made loads of accounts and Instagrams and emails and YouTube accounts and all that, I thought I should probably check to see if there's any other podcasts or anything like this with the same name. Now, there's a few other Instagram accounts with the same name, but they were just they weren't like podcast Instagrams, or they weren't like social media, obviously social media, but they weren't like content creating Instagrams. They were just personal ones. I thought, okay, that's quite a good sign. I went on Spotify and typed in On Your Mind podcast and searched up, and this was like 2 or 3 days ago I did this, and there was no results for On Your Mind podcast. There was a few other ones that were similar, but none with this name. And I know that there was none with this name because I thought, wow, that's great news. Like, that's a good name, and I imagined a logo already for it, and And I thought this is great. I could advance with this, and it's, you know, it's catchy. It's not too like, it's something that you could probably remember. But yeah, when I went back on there after I'd made all the accounts and everything, and searched it again, I saw that there was like 2 or 3 other podcasts called On Your Mind Podcast. So I don't know if I don't think this is the one and only, but it's definitely the best. I can guarantee you that. If you want to show some love to the other On Your Mind podcasts, go and do that, because we're all about the love over here on Your Mind podcast. That's the main thing in life, really, is just make sure you're showing some love to people. We don't want to see no hatred on this channel. So if you are planning to be a dickhead and, you know, give people hate, not even just on other podcasts, but in life in general, then please take your negative energy elsewhere. It's only positive energy here. That's another thing that I've been sort of trying to be a bit more conscious of. The amount of times that I notice judgments going past, like running through my mind. Like if I see someone walking down the street and they're dressed in a way that doesn't conform to the norms of society, there's always judgments going through the mind of like, oh, look what they're wearing, or like, oh, who do they think they are? And when you sort of hear yourself in your mind say that, and you think, oh, hang on a minute, like, who the hell am I to judge? I wear what I want, and there's people out there that probably judge me for it. So it just sort of like, you break that connection of, hang on a minute, like I didn't think that. Why is there so much judgment? And becoming aware of that has helped me take a step back from that judgment. And whenever I self criticize, whenever I criticize people based on appearance, or, you know, like I don't even know this like a person walking past. They could be the nicest, sweetest person in the world, and in my head I'm judging them for what they look like. It's like, it just seems so silly. So it's good to take a step back from the judgments, and, you know, see things from a different angle. Sorry, I was just having a little moment of like realization there. It's probably going to happen quite a lot on this podcast. Little mini moments of realizations where the things that are on my mind are flowing through out of my mouth, and I'm sort of hearing them for the first time, and I'm trying not to react too much to them, because I feel like if I do, I'm going to get stuck in a thought loop and just not say anything. And for a podcast, it's probably not the best thing in the world to have a lot of awkward silences. You know, I'm on my own today. I'm in the flat on my own. I live in a flat with my sister. She's not here at the moment, unfortunately. But I would like to get maybe a few guests on. I think I would only ever really get one guest on at a time. I feel like any more than 2 is a crowd, and you sort of lose the sense of just a conversation with someone. When there's 3 of you, it's more of like it's just more of a crowd, you know. And I feel like people are more at ease and a lot more inclined to actually go into the mind and explore what's going on in there. They're able to do that a lot better when it's just one-on-one, I find. I feel like when there's another person, you got to try and subconsciously you're trying to make all parties involved happy, whereas one-on-one it's just like, it's just a conversation, you know. So I would like to get some people on. I'm not gonna limit myself either to just getting like my friends and family on the podcast. I'm going to try and get some people outside of my circle of acquaintances and the people that I know, just because I like hearing about I like hearing other people's perspective on things. It's something that I'm realizing is what's going through my mind isn't set in stone in the world. You know, that's just my opinion on something. It's just my point of view of the world, and that's how I'm expressing it. And I like to hear other people's point of views and how they express it, because everyone's got something to say. You know, like I said, if you just sort of if you shut your mouth for a minute. I know I'm not trying to be like a dickhead here and be a mean bastard, but if you just close your mouth and listen to what your mind's saying, it just goes off on some random tangents, like, and the things that it comes out with are just insane. And those are the things that I want to explore a bit more on this podcast. I feel like it's not very common for people in everyday life to get that time to actually explore all the weird things that go on in your mind, all the things that society tells you shouldn't be thinking about and you should just ignore them, sort of thing. But I'm gonna bring them to the table for you, and I want to see if other people think similarly. I want to see if people think the same as me. Yeah, there's that broken English I was talking about. Because it's a crazy thing, the mind, and it's so like personal to me. All the things that I think are just like they're just insane. Like I was thinking the other day about if I could take on a tiger in a fight. I know this sounds like me versus a tiger. Nah, fuck off, mate. You ain't winning against a tiger. I thought that's probably right. Me right now versus a tiger right now, I would be losing 10 out of 10 times, I would imagine. So I thought let's try and even the odds a bit. So what a tiger has main weapons. It has its mouth. It's got a big mouth. It's got a big jaw. It's got big teeth. They can use that to dominate their opponents, and they've also got massive claws as well as a lot of mass to them. They're very heavy, and they can use that to their advantage too. I thought, right, okay, so I don't have any of that, so let's try and even it out. So straight away, I want to eliminate the threat of a tiger's mouth. I feel like in a fight, a human is not inclined to use their mouth as much as a tiger would be. And I have not got massive teeth. I haven't got a most powerful bite. I haven't really got a big jaw, like not as big as a tiger anyway. So I feel like a muzzle on the tiger, that levels out both sides of it, you know? Because I'm not going to... The first thing that's coming to mind when I'm fighting a tiger is not, I'm going to try and bite him. So we both won't be using our mouths. All right, so that's leveled out. We're pretty level now. The tiger still has big ass fucking claws. They're big cats really at the end of the day, and cats' claws are sharp and pointy, and they could probably slice you open with one hit. So I thought there's definitely two different ways to counter this. Not to counter, but to even it out. So I could either give the tiger gloves, like big woolly gloves or like boxing gloves, so that it can't actually use its claws. Or I could give me some type of sharp claws, or like gloves that had claws on them. So we both have claws. I feel like me having claws and letting the tiger keep his claws probably more even than giving it gloves, because I would still have my fists and my bones and a lot harder than gloves. So I feel like I'd have the advantage there, but so it's not very level. So okay, we'll give me gloves with claws, the same size as tiger claws. So we're level on both parts, mouth and claws. Yeah, we're level on those parts. I feel like in that situation, I feel like I'd stand a fighting chance, you know. I feel like I would give the tiger at least a good run for its money. At least, I feel like obviously a tiger is predominantly on all fours, so its fighting style would be different to mine because I'm like humans are predominantly on two legs, and we have more use of our arms, and I don't know. I feel like it's just different fighting styles. You know, I feel like if you were to right hook a tiger, he'd be confused at the very least, and I don't think he'd really know what's hit him. Because could a tiger punch me in the face like a right hook? But I don't think it. I think it could, but I don't think it would. I don't think that would be its first. I don't think that would be its first thought to try and right hook me. You know, and even if it did, I feel like I would have a better chance of dodging a right hook than a tiger. A tiger. I don't know, how nimble are tigers? Are they like? I know they're quite athletic. They can climb trees and shit like cats. But what are their reaction speeds like? Are they good at reacting? Could a tiger easily parry like a jab for me? Parry for anyone? I think that's the right word I'm using. I've no idea, but I think that's the right word. When you sort of just like you slightly move your body to dodge a punch. That's what they say in boxing, I believe. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, honestly, my inboxes on my Instagram is just going to be people telling me I've said this word wrong and I've pronounced this wrong. But trust me, I'm okay with it. I get it all the time. And if anything, I'm very thankful for it because it helps me deepen my vocabulary and widen my horizons on the English language, which I probably should have learnt by now. I mean, I am 22 years old, going on 23. Do you know it's actually my birthday next month? 22 days, I think. 20 or 23, maybe 24. I can't remember. But it's my birthday soon. And there is a new Kendrick Lamar album being dropped a couple days before my birthday. And I thought, this is cool. I like Kendrick Lamar. It's been a while since he's dropped an album. I thought, I could have a listening party. And I thought, that's right, by my birthday, I could have a listening party, birthday party. I thought, how could we liven that up? Because, excuse me, sorry, I keep burping and trying not to bring it up on the mic. I thought, how can I make this a little bit more party-like? Because everyone just sort of sitting around listening to an album is all well and good. And I think it'd be cool, but if it's for my birthday, I want it to be like a party, you know, not just like a sitting quietly party. So I thought I could keep it in a theme of like rap and hip hop. So I think I'm gonna have a hip hop themed party for my birthday, like a 90s hip hop, and have everyone dress up as someone from the 90s who does hip hop. The only problem is most of my friends are white, so I feel like we're going to have a lot of Slim Shady showing up. But you know what? I'd be cool with it either or. You know, if everyone decides to be Slim Shady, we can all have a Slim Shady party, I guess. And obviously, if I was a Slim Shady, I'd have to be the real Slim Shady, and everyone else can sit down, and I'll just stand up instead. Well, hey, a little bit of a Slim Shady joke for you there. Oh God, I feel like I should have an audience doing this. I feel like some of the times I can be hilarious. Hence why I'm doing this podcast. Some of the things that I think about, I think that's funny. Like, people need to hear this. And if you don't think it's funny, you know, fair enough. You've probably just got a different sense of humour than me. But if you do, great. Let's be friends and let's hang out, because I need some more friends at the moment, obviously. That's why I'm doing a podcast on my own. Oh, excuse me. I keep coughing lots. I had COVID a couple of weeks ago. I know. It was very annoying because I've gone the whole time without having it. The whole time. And I'm a little bit embarrassed to say, or ashamed, I should say, to say I have not really been following the rules at all. And I was very much under the impression of if I don't think about COVID, if I don't look at all the different stats and all the shit that the media is putting out there, if I just don't pay attention to it, I won't get COVID. Which worked for best part of 2.5, maybe nearly 3 years. I haven't had any vaccines, and I'm not a fan of wearing a mask just because it gives me spots. I know, third world problems. Tell me about it. But I went to see Slow Tie, who is a rapper up in Southampton. It was an amazing night. I honestly have never sweated more in my life. It was so fucking hot in there. And it was just mosh pit after mosh pit after mosh pit, which I'm not a violent person. I've only ever been in one fight, which I'll probably tell you about either later or on another episode. But I just love the adrenaline of just jumping into a mosh pit and bouncing around off people, and it's good vibe. But anyway, obviously there's a lot of people in there, a lot of like shirtless boys jumping around and jumping into you, and you sort of getting pushed around a lot. It's quite packed in there. So I definitely got COVID off of someone in there. And for the next like 3 or 4 days afterwards, I was just completely crashed. And I was so annoyed because I'd spent so long telling all my friends, oh, if you don't think about COVID, you ain't going to get it. Like, COVID isn't real and all this shit. Which now, saying it out loud, it's like it sounds a little bit dickish, because obviously there are people who like lose their lives over it, and people who lose loved ones and all that. I'm not going to take anything away from that. Not going to take anything away from them for that. I'm not going to stand there and tell them that they're wrong and that it didn't exist and it was something else, because obviously that's just people's like experiences of that. But yeah, it did. After having it, I can sympathise with some of you who have either lost people or have had it, because it wasn't great. It was pretty shit. Knocked out for like 3 or 4 days. Just didn't want to get out of bed. I had no energy. I didn't even know it was humanely possible to have so little energy. We take it for granted. Like, even if when you wake up in the morning, a lot of people say it doesn't matter how much sleep I get, I'm always tired, which is true for me as well. I've noticed this. You always feel tired when you wake up in the morning, but like, you take it for granted how much energy you actually do have in the mornings and throughout the day. Like, even just the energy to even get out of bed, which I know even some people who are struggling with depression and whatnot, they struggle to get out of bed, but that's more of a mental game than it is energy. And like going up and down stairs, just going outside. It's just, I think we take a lot of things for granted. A lot of things. Energy being one of them, and having the energy to do things. Sometimes I wish I had more energy. To be honest, I feel like diet has a lot to do with that. And I'm not the most active person in the world. I'm not like a fitness buff. Well, not at the moment. I would like to be a bit more active. I don't want to be like, whoa, like swole, muscles popping out, veins everywhere. I don't want to. I'm not too keen on being like that. But I would like to be a bit more healthier, a bit more fitter. The only real exercise I do at the moment is I go for little walks in the morning sometimes, just like around the block, sort of 15-20 minute walks. And I play football every now and then. Well, every once a week anyway, for an hour. But I don't play competitive. We literally hire out a hall, me and a group of friends, and we try and get 10 of us every week, do 5-a-side. We just literally out. We rent the hall out for an hour, and it's just more of a kickabout really than it is like a competitive game. But even so, it's still a fucking hard work. I can tell you that. And coming home, it's you realise how little energy you have after it, and just like I'm a big sweaty guy. I run hot, mate. I run hot, and this is something actually I wanted to briefly touch up on. I think most men run hot, and most women run cold. That's why women always have hot showers, and men like it colder. There you go. You put that on a fucking article headline on an article. No, that's a terrible idea. I think I did. Oh God, honestly, I'd hate to work for the newspaper. I just want to tell people the truth. You know, none of this like bullshit thing. You know, all the media. It's a well-known fact now that the media, they just don't tell the truth, or they bend the truth a lot. It's a little bit annoying because if you read it, you know, you want to read the news, you want to read what's actually going on and how it actually is. I don't want to be fed all this bullshit about things that don't matter. It's quite annoying. This is why I don't really watch news. We don't even have we have a telly in the flat, but I never watch it. I never watch actual TV. Excuse me. I mean, obviously, I have Netflix and Disney Plus, which I watch quite a lot. But we don't even have an aerial connecting that to our TV because all of the shit that's put on there and all of the adverts and just TV in general, I just don't like it anymore. And I think a lot of people in this generation feel the same, and they're waking up to the idea that the media, they're just trying to control everyone with what they're putting out. It's really annoying, but hey ho, we can look on the bright side and take the bright side as at least we know what we don't want, which is the media to be telling lies. We know that for sure. So now we just need to work out what we do want and work out something that does work for everyone. I think for a long time people thought that would be the internet, like social media. But it's so easy to manipulate things on social media. So easy to lie about things. You see people living their dream life on Instagram, and it makes people jealous and it makes people upset that they haven't got things like that. But in reality, you never know what that person is thinking. You know, you never know how happy they actually are with their life. So I don't know. I feel like there needs to be a new form of communication, something that can't be manipulated and can't be twisted. We need a true form of communication where we can understand what's going on with the world and not have to worry about people lying. Is that impossible? I really feel like that's what we should be putting our resources to. That's what we should be instructing our scientists to do, is to find a new way of communication rather than whatever they're doing at the moment. What do scientists even do at the moment? There's so many different avenues of science. There must be so many different scientists. And how do you realize that you want to go into a specific type of science? Like people who decide to be aerodynamic scientists or like single-celled organism specialist scientists. Like, how do you decide that that's like what you want to do? Does it just come to you? Or do you just find your way there naturally? Because there's so many different avenues of it. Obviously, I feel like childhood has a lot to do with it. What people experience in their childhood can alter what they do in their adulthood. I know that for sure. But I don't know. Is there something deeper to it? Is it their calling? You know, is that something that has been chosen for them? I think about this often. I think it's healthy to contemplate things like this. Not even to look for an answer, but just to contemplate it itself. I feel like people don't really do it enough. So if you're listening to this and you too often have weird thoughts like this that you never really have time to explore, I encourage you to go and explore them. Just sit down and think about things like this. I feel like we'd probably get a lot more done. I know that sounds backwards, but I feel like we'd think about the more important things rather than just the first thing that we think of, which most of the time for big companies and politicians and the people who actually run the world, the first thing that comes to mind is money. And that is the only thing that they take, and they just take it at that level and never explore deeper any of the questions about life and people. Because we're all just humans at the end of the day. We're all in this together. And to put money over the protection and love and care of our fellow humans, I think it's just fucking ridiculous, to be honest with you. But I'm not a politics man. I don't like politics. I don't even vote for politics. People have said to me like, "Oh, you need to vote. Like every vote counts." It's like, oh well, I don't want either. I don't want any of the parties to be leaders, so I won't vote for any of them. And I just try and keep my head out of it, man. Whenever I see shit about, well, most of it's about like Boris Johnson at the moment. Sorry, I know I'm a dirty name dropper, and there's a lot of things going around about him. I try just to ignore it and it doesn't interest me, you know. The thought of getting worked up about something that me as a singular person can't really do much about, you know. I'm not going to go and overthrow the government and convince Boris Johnson that he needs to think about people more than he does need to think about money. Although I probably could do that. Do you reckon one person could do something like that? I suppose in history, it is quite often like one person that stands out. Like Adolf Hitler. Or who's the woman who, I can't remember her name, but she threw herself in front of loads of horses or something for women's rights. And it's like one person making that decision which triggers. It's like this, it's the butterfly effect, isn't it? One thing, one event, one person can trigger a whole series of events which can change the outcome of everything. Wow, how trippy is that? So that means every single thing that every single person does has an effect on the future. Wow, and so many of us do things without even thinking about it. You know, I'm one for, especially at the moment. I've got a bit of a cough, and when I cough in, I'm coughing up phlegm. I know. Sorry, it's disgusting, but it's the truth. And that type of phlegm is not the phlegm that you really want to swallow again, because it's horrible. You want to just get it out. So sometimes I don't think about it, just spitting on the floor. I know it's a horrible habit and it's not very nice to do, but I don't really think twice about it. I wonder if there's any other things that I don't think twice about which could have an effect. Although what effect could spitting on the ground have? Is there any environmental issues that could sprout from that? I don't know. I feel like other people could probably catch my diseases a lot easier if I'm spitting on the ground everywhere. It's probably easier to catch something, you know. Kids touch the ground a lot. Oh, excuse me, I keep burping. I'm really sorry about this, guys. I hope you bear with. But yeah, kids are always on the floor. I know as a kid, one of my favourite activities as a kid was a thing called puddle splashing. Now, I loved doing this. I don't know why, but we used to go on walks and take the dogs for a walk up to like a viewpoint that was up by where my parents lived. And at this viewpoint, there was like a little dirt bike trail with a few jumps, a few like dirt bike jumps. And it looked over the whole viewpoint. It was really nice place actually. But in the middle of it, there was like where it all dipped down into the middle. There was this big puddle. Well, it was more like a pond. That's how big it was. And And whenever we used to go dog walking, I used to say, Mum, can I come puddle splashing? Can I come puddle splashing? And she'd be like, oh, fuck's sake, like, yeah, okay, you can go puddle splashing. And I'd go put on my wellies and all my, like, clothes that I didn't mind getting dirty. I'm pretty sure I literally had specific clothes for puddle splashing. I literally had, like, an outfit, especially to go fucking jump in puddles. But I used to literally jump in and swim, like, literally swim in this puddle. And it wasn't like a clean puddle. There used to be murky, and there's probably all sorts of shit roaming around in those little ponds and puddles. But I didn't care. I enjoyed it. It was a good laugh for me as a child, and I feel like I would probably still have a good laugh now, actually, as an adult. Yeah, I feel like I would. Let's go puddle splashing. If anyone wants to come puddle splashing with me, I'm more than welcome to it. More than open to it. Wow, yeah, okay. I think that's something that I would like to achieve in my adult life, is to just go puddle splashing without a care in the world. Because honestly, all problems and everything else in the world, they will disappear as soon as I'm in that puddle. As soon as I'm taking that first leap, the first cannonball into a murky, diseased-filled puddle, all my problems will disappear. Oh, honestly. But I think everyone's just a big kid, aren't they? I don't really connect with people who are very like business, like serious. Like, oh, I like to have a laugh, be a kid sometimes. I miss being a kid, and it's sometimes it sucks being an adult, paying taxes and water bills and shit like that. So I think everyone should try and be a little bit more childish in their life. And I think I'm gonna end the podcast on that note, to be honest. That everyone should be a bit more childish. Yeah. If you're listening to this, you've made it this far, thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for staying. I really hope that you've enjoyed this. To be honest, I've enjoyed myself. I've had a nice little chuckle with myself today. And I've explored a lot of things that have gone through my mind, which is the main premise for this entire thing. So yeah, once again, I'll plug the Instagrams, which is @onyourmindpoddy. That is @onyourmindpoddy. Again, this will be on Spotify, so if you're listening on Spotify, thank you very much. It will be called On Your Mind Podcast. And again, if you're watching on YouTube, thank you very much for watching on YouTube. If you're on Spotify and you want to go watch it, it is on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube and you want to just listen, it's on Spotify. So go watch it. Switch it up. I'd appreciate the views on both platforms, to be honest. But either or. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe and rate and all that jazz. You know the drill. You've probably heard it a million other times by now by other creators. But yeah, so thank you again for watching. And I don't really know when I'm going to be doing this again, but I will be doing it again. So I will see you in episode number 2. Thank you very much for watching. See you later. I don't know why I just did a little. It was a fair one. There you go. That was a better one. Let me do that again. Thank you for watching. No, that was bad timing. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. There you go. Nailed it. Beep, beep.